Is Ready Player One the future of gaming? Will gaming just become one big microtransaction? Will gaming just become an infinite live service server? I would imagine that with the way gaming is going now, gaming would become one big microtransaction where anyone can do anything and become anyone. Just a whole cluster of new and old video games coming together, specifically with online gaming being as big as it is now, would only make sense for the gaming industry to push gamers into this direction. Ready Player One is a really good movie. I watched it at the cinema back when it came out. It's a rather rewatchable movie and was made back before movies and Hollywood went south and weren't fun anymore, becoming a gem of a rare time when movies could just be movies. Ready Player One was directed by the legendary award-winning director Steven Spielberg, who really needs no introduction, and I'm sure if you are a real fan of movies, you have seen one or more of his big catalog of movies, because I don't think he has ever really made a bad movie. The movie was distributed by Warner Bros. And not Disney. This is why I'm sure the movie was safe from all the woke nonsense like we have today. Ready Player One is set in the real world in the year 2045, where virtual reality has become a household thing and where pretty much everyone plays in the virtual space called the Oasis, which is essentially a huge simulation that people use to escape their mundane life and become whoever they want. The interesting part is that we have had Ready Player One for a while now, and many people have tried to replicate the Oasis. For example, there has been a game called VR Chat that has been out since 2014, and one could say this is the closest thing to Ready Player One that you could get. The whole concept of a virtual world has been on the mindset of people for a long time, but this concept has only been perfected as of recently, with Facebook starting their whole meta and also starting the metaverse, which unfortunately died before it could become popular. The interesting part is that the concept of an Oasis has been welcome and was pretty big for a while when VR Chat started. It took off with many people creating content and memes with the game, and VR Chat is a game that you need a VR headset to play. I repeat, you need a VR headset to play the game, and unfortunately VR headsets have never been cheap and are still very expensive. For example, even PlayStation released a PlayStation exclusive VR headset for the PS4, which was really popular, but even the VR was anything but cheap, and the trend has not changed. With regards to the PlayStation VR, they made the same mistake twice, because Sony recently released the VR headset for the PlayStation 5 titled VR 2. It has the same problem as the first PlayStation VR headset, and that is the price. As I said before, VR headsets have never been cheap and have remained rather expensive, though they have been out for a while now and have many different versions, and the leading company in VR headsets is Oculus, which was actually bought by Facebook and falls under Meta, which is basically Facebook, and is now part of the company which owns pretty much all popular social medias, Instagram, Threads, and WhatsApp. So yes, they are a rather big company. The worst part about VR headsets is the price. They are very expensive. If you really don't have the money for them, that is the biggest setback. The problem is they are not getting any cheaper, and there are many different VR companies, but Oculus is the biggest and most popular. The biggest issue is that in many cases the VR headsets cost more or the same as the console or PC you need to play it. The PS4 VR costs the exact same as the PS4 itself, literally the exact same price, and it's the same with the PS5 and the VR 2. It costs the same price as, and sometimes even more than, the PS5. With such high prices, there's a lot of pushback by gamers complaining about the price, and I must admit, I really want a VR headset, but they are just too expensive. The concept of Ready Player One has been around for a while now, and many people have tried to bring it to life. For example, even Apple has designed a VR headset, but in this case it's an augmented reality, so not so much a virtual reality, and it's basically what people thought the future would look like back in the day. And the earliest version of this was the Google Glass. It was released a year after the first Oculus, and unfortunately the Glass never really went anywhere because it was cancelled, and not very long after that it was killed off. This is a very interesting time that we live in, and the movie Ready Player One was based off of a book with the same name. And 2011 was a long time ago, but the way the book was turned into a live action movie was legendary. The amount of cultural relevance the movie has still to this day is insane. It pretty much predicted the next 5 years of gaming, and the filming and production of the movie started as far back as 2016, and the whole development process started back in 2010. So the movie was long awaited, and they delivered on all their hard work. When you are a real gamer and have given many hours and years of your lifespan for gaming, the amount of nostalgia you feel when watching watching Ready Player One is insane. Seeing new and old video game characters all in the same place is wild, and imagining if such a place could be real. With VR chat, you can be almost any character, having a wide range of emotes and costumes to choose from. The Fortnite effect really hits hard in this movie, bringing you a whole world that is put into just your eyes and your fingertips. The only difference being that literally everyone plays it. What do you call a video game that has everything and that everyone is playing? You call it the Oasis, a place where anything and everything is and can be possible. This is something that gaming has tried to do for a while now, but I'm assuming it's because a lot of these big tech and video game developers and publishers can't come to an agreement. I don't know what it would be like to have such a thing like the Oasis. I would say that it would be a cool concept on paper, but it would be very hard to implement, and I wonder what the price would be. Most likely it would be expensive. I just want to talk specifically about the movie quickly. I really like it for what it is and how they depicted gaming in the movie. Gaming is one of the most important things of all, and the biggest gaming company pretty much controls everything. I love the scene where the main character of the movie puts on his VR headset and goes into the Oasis for the first time. The other really cool part is that he has what they call an omnidirectional treadmill, and though it was fiction, there have been many people who've made it in real life, and in the movie they have these cool bodysuits that simulate what you would feel in the game, which I must admit is really cool. Something like that in real life would cost millions, but we also need to remember that the movie is set 21 years into the future, so Lord knows what we will have 21 years from now. I am a huge fan of cars and racing, and one of the first big events in the movie is the race to win the copper key. The amount of cars that you see from different movies, video games and racing cars is truly fantastic on their part. Then the race starts and it's all out chaos, complete and utter carnage. The race takes place in the city, which is usually my favorite place to race in any game, and the race reminds a lot of a video game called Split Second Velocity, which is one of my favorite video games. The race has many obstacles and traps, and the cherry on top is that King Kong is in the race and he just knocks out racers like flies. The whole premise of the movie is to get 3 keys, and if you get all 3 keys you win the whole game and become the owner of the Oasis, which is worth a lot of money, and everyone is after this challenge. Many would even kill to win the challenge because there's no leaderboard when it comes to winning the game. It's a winner takes all. You don't get anything if you come second or third. If you are not first, you are lost. The movie gets really nostalgic after the main character wins the first key. There are references from The Shining and the Bee Gees and the 1970s disco scene. The show gets pretty intense with people trying to kill the main character and his friends in real life, and the main character meets all his online friends in real life, and their appearances are shocking, as if it always is when meeting people online in real life. I have had my own experience myself when I met some of my online friends in person. One key moment in the movie is when one of the founders of the Oasis gets pitched the idea of having microtransactions put in the game, the idea of pay to play online, and this idea was pitched by the movie's main antagonist, and the founder flat out ignored him. And the founder represents a lot of us gamers not wanting microtransactions, pay to play online and live service in our video games. This is something that a lot of us wish had happened in real life, because the one founder represents the gamers who are nostalgic and just want people to have fun and play video games. The message this movie has is a very important one, and I will leave it up to people to figure it out. The final part of the movie is about an all-out war, one of the best battles that rival that of the Avengers Endgame war scene and the war scene from The Hobbit. The CGI of Ready Player One is really good. It won awards for how good its CGI was, and it really set a standard of how modern CGI should look. After the big battle, the only one who survived is the main character, and the last challenge was to play a classic retro video game and find an Easter egg, and the only reason he won is because he was a huge retro game fan who studied a lot of the history of retro video games, and that won him the Oasis. It really makes me feel good about nostalgia and about how older games are in many cases better than the games that come out now, and in the end it will be the real gamers who save gaming and video games. And with that, this is the Chilly Man signing off. I thank everyone for watching. Peace out.